This is an overview of the Settings Workspace inside of the CIMcloud Worker Portal that workers can access if they have authorization to see it. You access it through this gear icon inside the toolbar on the left. And when you click on it, it will slide open the Settings Workspace menu inside the menu drawer here. We're on the Settings Workspace homepage right now, and you can see there is groupings and navigation buttons here that correspond with the menu of options that are on the left. In order to access the individual links in the menu, you just click on the major section here and it will slide open the links. So I'll give you a quick walkthrough, just description of what's in here, and then you can get in and explore yourself. So customer sites. Basically, we have a concept of customer sites, your B2B portal that your customers access, and any additional portals or retail sites are all just customer sites. So our system supports multiple sites. There is licensing for additional sites that you'll pay monthly fees for setting it up. But this gives you all the settings for your base site, which would typically be a B2B portal or a retail site if you've purchased the retail bundle. And then you can use this to set up additional sites or manage all of the preferences and settings and features and things that are turned on. You also can manage the design settings in our standard templates if you're using the standard templates like colors and CSS and things like that inside here. The data imports and exports. So we have a common data layer that we use in the CIMcloud platform, and pretty much all the data you can access through one of the areas, the major areas or workspaces here, to add and edit data. There's also ways to bulk manage the data through CSV file exports, and with an additional bundle, you can also access it through an API programmatically. But the data exports, this basically allows you to go find the table and basically do CSV exports of the data. You can also, through the imports exports, you can go upload data to that table. So a common thing to upload is things in your product catalog. In the base catalog, you might be uploading a bunch of supplemental rich catalog data that did not sync from your products in the ERP because the ERP doesn't house it. Or things like categories or mapping products to categories, things like accounts or contact data, address data. If stuff didn't sync from the ERP, if there's supplemental data you wanted to upload, you would do that here. The Geo Locations, typically you will not have to touch this data. We access it here, but it's initially seeded with the application. And this is data that's driving a bunch of the applications, drop lists and things like that through the cart checkout process. Things like that are listed here. Ordering, this gets into some basic order settings like starting order number and things like that. Payment processing, this is where you would set up merchant accounts and payment methods that are used through the shopping cart checkout or for order entry and invoice payments. The merchant accounts are the actual payment processors that you would set up there. Renumbering, this only comes into play because we sync data with ERP systems. Sometimes people will want to change their product SKUs or item numbers or their customer numbers. And when we sync data, those are typically used as the key values here. So there's a process you need to go through if you're doing what's called renumbering inside your ERP system, and you would leverage this tool to do it to make sure you don't end up with duplicate data because we are keeping data synced through those IDs typically. Resources, this is access to some legacy training materials that are still applicable and useful. That's being replaced by the Help Center. Whatever's not already replaced by the Help Center is being worked through and replaced, but you can still access those resources here. The search, this basically allows you to set up search terms that when your customers are using searches on the front end or doing keyword searches, you can get type aheads going and also do search routing. If they type terms instead of providing a search in the product catalog, for example, you can route them to a specific area. So if they search for contact us, you could route them to the contact us page, for example. Shipping, this is all things related to shipping calculations. It's also setting up what countries you ship to in the order checkout, what shipment carriers you have, which ties into shipment tracking when you sync shipment data over from the ERP, and the shipping methods and all of the logic or calculations for shipping methods when people are going through order entry, what methods they could see, whether or not they're going to see prices calculated, and then how those calculations, what's the math going to do, how those calculations going to work. System email, this just allows you, we have a number of emails like order confirmation emails, shipment tracking emails, contact us emails, email a friend, that you can specify the settings of things like the reply address and company name and BCC and CC addresses inside the email settings. The system-wide settings, this is a very large area, and there is lots in here related to application, particularly in workspace settings, that allows you to control down to a very granular level what features are turned on and off inside the application as a whole. Also, that stuff can be overridden on the customer site level and on individual customer login level and on individual worker login level. Those are covered through separate training videos, but there's a lot in there related to settings. Taxes. This would be if you're running tax calcs within the CIMcloud application. We do have a sales tax engine. We would typically sync tax data from the ERP into this engine to run tax calcs. If you're using something like Avalara for third-party tax calcs, this would barely be applicable. There's one little setting that you set up that tells it effectively to use Avalara for tax calculations. But there's things here that come into play even if you're syncing stuff over from the ERP. The ERP has no way to do anonymous tax calculations, so it doesn't know if you're taking orders from anonymous customers. That would be the case if you have a retail store bundle as part of your package. It's got to know how to match that address to tax schedules, for example, that are in your ERP system. So there's some settings you can do in there. The user profiling data rights is basically a way to allow customers to see a subset of the data. The base package allows you to do it with navigation links inside of your B2B portal, your customer portal, or your customer sites, the retail sites. So this would apply to navigation links. There's an add-on bundle that gets into advanced filtering and would allow you to apply data rights to things like shipping methods and products and categories and things like that. And then workers, this is where you're managing workers, seeing username and password requests. So these are other worker logins. And then worker groups, which is the way that you can assign different rights to workers and features and what they see and don't see. So that's a walkthrough of the settings workspace in the base package.